Now, by the show of hands, how many of us read the Bible and see in the Bible God just killing people, God just slaying people, smiting people, promising that He will smite thee. In the Bible, you read those words, and you're like, is this God? The same God who is a loving God is in the Bible telling people that I will smite ye. So it seems like God, in the Bible, in His nature, seems to be more furious and more angry, more wrathful.
Ever
Someone will die.
Of fun.
And of murder.
There's gonna be beer, pumpkins,
Bloody goblins.
fake ones. It's gonna be awesome. We have decorations.
Dead people that we just murdered.
Not murdered, but pictures of dead people from TV or movies.
Mutilated bodies.
But fake ones. It's gonna be.
So to many atheists, they eat this up. They're like, hey, in the Bible, God says He will smite thee. This is the same God who's loving. How is it the same God who's loving going to send you to hell? So atheists, they enjoy this part of the Bible. I don't know what causes them to enjoy this part of the Bible, but today let me set some couple of records straight. You see in the Bible, what we've talked about earlier is in the Bible, God in His nature, He is the reason why we have life. And how whenever you in any funeral, you hear the pastor saying, God giveth and God taketh. That is in the Bible, it's written. So in the Bible, when you learn that God giveth and God taketh, it seems like the Bible is trying to contradict, because the same God who tells you not to kill is the same God who doesn't lead by that example. But no, you see, since God is the one who is the reason why we actually have life, God is the reason why we have life. He is the life of mankind. So since God is the reason why we have the life that we have, God is responsible for it. And also God is responsible for taking it away. You know why? Because God, He comes from nothingness. God was something in nothing. God was God. He was always God. In the Bible, we learn that the only way He came about was His word. And the only way His word came about was God. So this means that God doesn't necessarily need anything to be alive. He was the first being in existence, and everything came about because of Him, including life. Life came about because it was Him. It was within Him. He didn't come about because He said, let there be life. But it came about because it was within Him. So nature of God is life. That's why when we read the Bible, we call the Bible the book of life and the word of God, because God in His nature, He is life. So since God in His nature is life, when you read the Bible, God in His nature is life. But then in the commandment, we're not told to kill people, and you see God taking people's lives.
For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when He seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you.
And so you think is God a hypocrite? No, He's not a hypocrite. He could never be a hypocrite. But life belongs to Him. Him taking life is taking what belongs to Him. So why then are we asked as human beings to not sin or to not kill? Why are we asked, if God is able to kill, shouldn't it be a sinless action to kill? Well, we are given life by God. God has given me life. I have life because of God. But God giving us life is owned by Him. So Him taking life away from Him is not a horrific action. But me, because I'm given life by God, taking away somebody's life, somebody whose life is also given by God, while my life is also being given by God. Some people say life is borrowed. My borrowed life, I am killing someone else who has life given by God. That is the hypocrisy of the sin. If I'm killing somebody and my life is also owed to God, and I'm killing somebody who has his life also owed to God, God has the right to tell me I don't have the audacity, the power, the privilege to kill somebody else. God is the only one who can command that. But in our free will, we practice otherwise. We kill each other. We do things, horrific things to each other. But God is the only one who has the ability to kill. The only one who has the privilege to kill because of his authority. Our authority and dominion is to rule over earth, not to kill one another, not to rule on one another and reign on one another. So when you see Israel going into wars and you ask yourself, why is even Israel given the privilege to kill? It's because God's armor is towards his action. God is actually carrying them out. We learn that Moses, and sometimes during wars, that he would go into wars with less men than the other enemies. And then he would win those wars, and you ask themselves, how many people have we killed in this war? And it turns out maybe we killed about 2 people, but God took care of the rest. Why is that possible? Because God is the only one responsible for this commandment. He can carry it out. It's not sinful for God to take your life, but it is sinful for me to take your life. So that's the Bible. That's Bible right there. So when you see in the Bible, it's written that God will say, I will smite thee.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness.
Don't be angry and say this is hypocritical. The same God who said we're not allowed to kill people is actually taking the lives of people. This is hypocritical. No, it's not. We're not allowed to kill people. Our life, we don't form anything related to life. We're not responsible for life. So, including those people who give birth to children and say, I will kill you if you don't do what I tell you to their kids. We all had parents. We all know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm black, so it might be different for others. But I grew up in an African way. And when you hear your mother say, I am responsible for your life and I will take your life away from you, and you're like, wow, I'm so afraid at that point. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. But even your parents are not responsible for the life. God is responsible for life. Even the kings that rule you, even the presidents that rule you, they're not responsible for lives. Because after Jesus Christ had died for us, he was also responsible for how we die too. Not only are we not allowed to kill each other, now God is the one who's responsible for what happens to us when we die. We're not allowed to kill each other. So when you hear these presidents going into wars and the world going into world wars, and you think this is justified because they're fighting for some causes, no, they're not fighting in a legal manner. God would impose it because we are not allowed to kill each other anymore. Not like in the Old Testament where people seemingly were in wars and killing each other. In the New Testament, no one is allowed to kill anyone. It's a sin to kill somebody. Only God can. Because why is it a sin? You are not allowed to play God. God is the only one who's responsible for life. If you are going to march into his room, into his chair, and decide to kill somebody else, you are now playing into character as God. You now see yourself and you see somebody who's responsible for the life of another being. And so that is sinful. That's why there are laws that are there to protect those who protect themselves from being killed. If you think you're responsible for somebody dying, there's a self-defense. When you're trying to kill me and I kill you, I can say I was defending myself to death. You tried to kill me. That's why there are those laws that we have on earth that are there to protect those who are trying to be, who are about to be killed. And also,
not remotely political. It was because he had daughters and he loved his wife, and women needed access to health care that they didn't have. And we are now. Am I talking too much? Oh, it's a talk show. We only have 2 minutes. We only have 2 minutes. Okay. We are living in a world, in the wake of the Dobbs decision, this is an unbelievable statistic, 64,000 pregnant rape victims living in states without access to abortion care. And if you don't think abortion care is health care, you're out of your mind. Women are dying.
The abortion laws, they say that a woman has rights to decide whether she wants to carry her baby. If she doesn't want to carry her baby, she can be responsible for her death, abort the baby, because she has a right, I don't know, for her body or something. It has something to do with her body. She has a choice if she wants to raise a child or not.
Governor Abbott saying that I can't have an abortion! I can't have an abortion! You have to take your hands off my vagina right now!
She can just kill a baby. I'm going to tell you why that's wrong. Because only God is responsible for life. Only God is responsible for life. So if you think about killing somebody, you are now taking in the place of God. You're now taking in his responsibility, and in fact killing the innocent of a child. If you're able to go to an abortion clinic and destroy life, terminate life from existing within a child, you are sinful. It's a sin. You are killing somebody. You're not just killing somebody, you are removing somebody from ever having the courtesy to walk. You are killing somebody from ever having the ability to have even a face. Aborting kids.
Right now! You do not own my uterus! The uterus is mine! It is a clump of cells in there! We need to take that clump of cells and destroy it! Like this paper! Just take the clump because it has no life! It has no meaning!
So, that was the major point that I made, and said your parents are not responsible for your life. Your parents are not responsible for your life. Even if they conceived you, they're not responsible for your life. Or the first thought that comes into your mind when you see a baby is no, this child was conceived in my bed during my wedding day. If that's the first thought that comes into your mind when you see a child, I think maybe you have some mental instabilities in your head. You should go and check it with the psychiatrist, because something must not be right with you. If the first thought that comes into your head when you see a newborn is this baby was conceived during this day, and maybe there was a sexual encounter that took place, it is the most hypocritical thing. So this brings me to a point. If a child was born through unwilling sex, rape, the first thought that comes into your head when you see a newborn baby is rape, then that is somehow a twisted belief. That is a twisted way of thinking, because the child is not responsible for anything that happens during the conceiving of it. The person who abused you is responsible for abusing you, but the child being born is not responsible for anything. The child, rather, is innocent of it. So which brings me to the next point. You are not responsible for the life of that child. So to all of those who choose to abort children and think that they are still Christians, you are a murderer. You killed somebody. You're the reason that somebody didn't have life. So somebody would have had life but didn't have that life because of you. That means you are responsible for the killing of it. It is unchristian. So any of those gynecologists who carry out these procedures, if you are a Christian, you restrain yourself from performing any. So if you're a doctor or you are a medical practitioner, or you practice medicine, you're not allowed to kill anyone that the children have. That life, God cares about that life, because God is the reason why they have life. Not the reason for you being abused, not the reason for you having sexual intercourse in your teenage years, not the reason for you not being financially stable for you to grow a child. He's not the reason for that, but he is the reason why the child is born. He is the reason why the child is soulful and why the child has innocence, regardless of you and your past and your issues. So which means you are not responsible for anyone else's life, including your own. So those who want to put a rope around their necks, for those who want to know, you're not allowed. You don't have any power onto life. You're not responsible for life. So if you are trying to unalive yourself, God is responsible for the life of ye. So to ye, all of it, God is the only one who's responsible for your lives. So to all of you who are dealing with issues, check with someone else. Don't resort to performing the most horrific activity on earth, causing death according to yourself. That is the most horrific thing ever. But check with God, read the scriptures, try to fix your path. So God is the only one responsible for life. So when you see him in the Bible saying that he would kill people, when you see God saying in the scriptures that he is willing to slay ye and your children, Don't be afraid and say this seems to be hypocritical. No, it's not hypocritical, but it's God, and He is responsible for the giving of life and the taking of life, and not us human beings who have lives that are borrowed by God. Amen.